I was talking to a lovely woman the other day, let's call her Margaret. And Margaret was telling me about her week. She'd been gardening, she'd had her bridge club over, life was, on the surface, just fine. But then her voice got quiet, and she said, I just don't understand it. My son, David, he used to call every Sunday without fail. Now, I'm lucky if I get a text message once a month. And when we do talk, it feels like we're speaking different languages. It's like there's this distance. And I don't know how to cross it. If that sounds familiar, if you've ever felt a pang in your heart when the phone doesn't ring, or a quiet loneliness settles in after a holiday visit ends, please know this, you are not alone. This feeling is one of the most painful experiences a parent can face. And so often, we're left blaming ourselves, wondering, what did I do wrong? Well, today, I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation about this very thing. We're going to gently explore some of the reasons why adult children sometimes pull away, and more importantly, what we can do, from our side of the fence, to start mending those fences and rebuilding those precious connections. This isn't about placing blame on them or on us. It's about understanding. Because understanding is the first, most powerful step toward healing. Now, the first reason for this distance often stems from the very core of our relationships, our communication. Or rather, a lifetime of communication patterns that may have become, well, a little rusty. You see, for decades, we were the captains of the ship. We were the ones giving advice, setting the rules, guiding our children through life. It was our job, and we did it out of love. But here's the shift that can sometimes cause a rift. Our children are no longer children. They are adults with their own lives, their own careers, their own families, and their own problems. And when we continue to speak to them as if they are still 15 years old, offering unsolicited advice on their parenting, their finances, their career choices, what they often hear is not, I love you and want to help, but I don't trust you to run your own life. Let me give you an example. Imagine your daughter, Sarah, is telling you about a stressful situation at work. The old pattern, the motherly instinct, might be to jump in and say, well, you should just tell your boss this, or why don't you try doing that? We mean well. We are problem solvers by nature. But for Sarah, who is navigating complex office politics, she might feel that you're dismissing her ability to handle it herself. She might feel judged, or worse, infantilized. So, what can we do instead? The most powerful tool we have is to shift from being a manager to being a consultant. A manager gives directives. A consultant listens and only offers advice when asked. So, the next time your child shares a problem, try this. Just listen. Really listen. And then, instead of offering a solution, offer empathy. Say something like, that sounds so difficult, honey. I'm so sorry you're going through that. Or ask a question that shows you respect their judgment, like, that's a tough spot. What do you think you'll do? This small change tells them, I see you as the capable adult you are. I am here for you, but I trust you. It opens the door for them to want to share with you, rather than feeling like they're about to get a lecture. Now, this leads us beautifully into the second reason for distance, which is deeply tied to the first. And that is the presence of old, unresolved hurts. Every family has its history. There might be arguments from 20 years ago that were never fully resolved, or past mistakes, either ours or theirs, that still cast a shadow. We might think, that's all water under the bridge, but if it was never properly discussed and forgiven, it can be like a splinter in the relationship, causing a low-grade infection that never quite heals. Our adult children carry their childhood memories with them, and sometimes, those memories are of a painful moment where they felt misunderstood, unfairly punished, or let down. And as they get older and have their own children, they often re-examine their own upbringing through a new lens, and those old hurts can surface with a new intensity. Bringing this up can feel terrifying, can't it? The fear of opening a can of worms, of starting a fight, of hearing something painful we'd rather not face. It's so much easier to just pretend everything is fine. But that distance, that silence, is the price we pay for that avoidance. So, what's the alternative? It's not about staging a giant confrontation and rehashing every single grievance from 1985. That would be overwhelming for everyone. It's about creating a safe space for honesty, one small step at a time. It starts with taking responsibility for our part. You could try, in a quiet, calm moment, saying something as simple as, I've been thinking about the past lately, and I realize I wasn't always the perfect parent. There are things I wish I had done differently. I am truly sorry if I ever hurt you. That's it. No, but you also did this. No justification. Just a sincere, heartfelt apology for the specific things you feel regret for. This isn't about admitting you were a bad parent. It's about acknowledging that you are human. This act of vulnerability is incredibly powerful. It can be the key that unlocks a door that has been sealed shut for years. It tells your child that you see them, you hear them, and you care about their pain. And that can be the beginning of a new, more honest chapter in your relationship. Now, these first two reasons are really about the emotional landscape of our family. But there's another, more practical area where distance can grow, and it has to do with the changing roles within a family and how we handle new additions, especially the people our children choose to love. It's interesting, isn't it? We spend so much of our lives building our families, nurturing them, hoping they'll be our anchor in the world. And then, life happens. Our children grow up and they start building their own families, their own anchors. And that transition, as beautiful as it is, can be one of the most delicate times in a parent's relationship with their adult child. This brings us to the third reason for that feeling of distance, and it's one that can sneak up on us, the challenge of navigating new family dynamics, particularly when our children marry or have a serious partner. For so long, it was just us, our little unit. And then, suddenly, there's this new person. This son-in-law or daughter-in-law who comes from a different family, with different traditions, different ways of doing things. And if we're not careful, we can unintentionally make that new person feel like an outsider, or worse, a threat. I remember a gentleman I spoke with, named Robert. He told me about when his son, Michael, got engaged to a wonderful woman named Chloe. Robert thought he was being welcoming. He'd invite them over for dinner and say, "Michael, your favorite meatloaf is in the oven." He'd pull out old photo albums and say, "Remember that time, Michael, when you..." He was, in his heart, just trying to connect with his son. But what he didn't see was that Chloe was slowly being relegated to the role of a spectator in her own marriage during these visits. She wasn't part of those memories. The traditions were all from Michael's childhood. Without meaning to, Robert was sending a subtle message: you are an addition to our family, not the start of your own family. Our children's primary loyalty, and rightly so, shifts to their partner and their own children. When they feel caught in the middle, when they feel they have to choose between making their spouse happy and making their parent happy, they will often pull away from the source of the conflict to protect their new family unit. And that source, unfortunately, is often us. So, how do we make sure we're building a bridge to this new family, instead of a wall? The secret is in the word inclusive. It's about shifting your focus from my child and their spouse to their family. It means creating new traditions that include both of them. Instead of just making Michael's favorite meatloaf, you call ahead and ask Chloe what her favorite dish is, and you learn to make it. You ask about her childhood memories, her family traditions. You start referring to them as you two or your family. You make sure your holiday plans are a discussion, not a decree. It's a conscious effort to widen the circle of your family to firmly include this new person. When your child's partner feels genuinely welcomed, valued, and loved for who they are, and not just as an appendage to your child, you're not losing a son or a daughter, you're gaining a whole new family. Now, this idea of shifting loyalties leads us directly to the fourth reason, which is perhaps one of the most common and painful ones I hear about: feeling criticized or judged, especially when it comes to grandparenting. Becoming a grandparent is one of life's greatest joys. We have so much love to give, and so much wisdom, or so we think, to share. But here's the tricky part: parenting has changed. The rules are different. Things we did without a second thought 40 years ago are now considered no-nos. And when we offer advice, even with the best intentions, it can be heard as criticism of their parenting. Let me give you an example. Something as simple as, "Oh, he doesn't need a jacket, he's fine," can feel to a new mother like you're dismissing her care for her child. Or saying, "In my day, we just put a little whiskey on the gums for teething," can come across as you saying their modern methods are silly. They've likely read the books, they're following their pediatrician's advice, and they are fiercely protective of their child. Our well-meaning comments can feel like a challenge to their authority as parents. This is where we have to practice what I call the grandparent pause. Before we speak, we take a gentle breath and ask ourselves, is this comment helpful, or is it just my way? Is this about the child's safety, or is it about my preference? Our role as grandparents is not to be another parent. It's to be a source of unconditional love, a safe harbor, a teller of family stories. It's to be the fun, the magic, the spoiler-in-chief, within reason, of course. The most powerful thing you can say to your adult child as a grandparent is, "You are doing a wonderful job." And then, back it up with your actions. Follow their rules, even if you think they're a bit over the top. If they say no sweets, you don't sneak a cookie. If they use specific sleep schedules, you do your best to follow them. This does not diminish your authority, it builds an immense amount of trust. It tells your child, "I respect you as a parent." And when they feel respected, they are far more likely to seek your opinion, to welcome your help, and to keep that door wide open for you to have a beautiful, close relationship with your grandchildren for years to come. We've covered a lot of emotional ground together, haven't we? From how we communicate, to healing old wounds, to welcoming new family, and stepping into the grandparent role with grace. These are all about adjusting our approach, about seeing the relationship through their eyes. And there's one final, crucial piece to this puzzle that we need to talk about, one that often forms the foundation for everything else. It has to do with our own well-being, and how our expectations for our later years can, without us realizing it, place a heavy burden on those we love the most. But that's a conversation for us to have next time, as we bring all of this together. It's remarkable, isn't it, how the landscape of our lives changes as the years go by. The house that was once filled with the noise and chaos of growing children becomes quieter. Our own parents, who we could always turn to for advice, may no longer be with us. And in this new chapter, we can sometimes find ourselves looking to our adult children to fill roles they were never meant to fill. This brings us to the fifth and final reason for distance, and in many ways, it's the one that ties all the others together. It's about the weight of our expectations and the delicate balance between needing support and fostering dependence. You see, for our entire lives, we've been the caregivers, the planners, the ones in charge. But as we enter our 70s, 80s, and beyond, it's natural to need a little more help. The problem arises when we begin to expect, sometimes without even realizing we're doing it, that our children will become our primary source of social, emotional, and practical support. We might call them for every little thing, feel hurt if they don't visit multiple times a week, or lean on them to manage our loneliness. Now, please don't misunderstand me. There is absolutely nothing wrong with needing help or wanting to spend time with your family. That is a beautiful and natural part of life. The strain comes when the responsibility becomes one-sided and overwhelming for our children, who are often juggling their own careers, young families, and immense pressures. Think of it from their perspective for a moment. They are in the prime of their lives, often called the sandwich generation, caught between raising their own children and caring for aging parents. If all of our emotional needs, our social calendar, and our practical problems are funneled directly to them, it can feel like a heavy burden. They might start to feel that every call from you is another item on their endless to-do list, another problem to solve, rather than a joyful connection. They may pull away not because they don't love you, but because they are emotionally exhausted and feel they have nothing left to give. So, what is the answer? It certainly isn't to stop asking for help or to become a recluse. The answer lies in building what I like to call a well-rounded life. It's about diversifying our support system so that our children are one important part of a rich and full picture, not the entire picture itself. This means taking active steps to nurture our own social circles. Reconnecting with old friends, or better yet, making new ones. joining a club at the community center, a book group, a gardening society, or a walking group. It's about rediscovering old hobbies or finding new passions that get us out of the house and engaging with the world. When we have our own vibrant lives, our conversations with our children change. Instead of focusing solely on our ailments or our needs, we have interesting stories to share. We can talk about the novel we're reading, the trip we're planning with friends, the project we're working on. We become more interesting and engaging to be around, and the time spent together becomes a welcome break for them, too, rather than a duty. This also means taking charge of our practical affairs to the best of our ability. Getting our legal and financial documents in order, researching resources in our community for seniors, and learning to use technology to manage appointments or groceries. This isn't just about making things easier for our children, it's about empowering ourselves. It sends a powerful message: I am still the captain of my own ship. I value your help, but I am also taking responsibility for my own well-being. This relieves that immense, silent pressure they often feel and allows them to relate to you as a capable, independent adult they admire, not just as a parent they need to care for. And so, we've journeyed through these 5 reasons together. We've talked about updating our communication from manager to consultant, about finding the courage to heal old hurts, about widening our circle to include new family, about embracing our role as supportive grandparents, and finally, about building our own vibrant, independent lives to prevent becoming a burden. When you look at this list, I hope you don't see a list of your faults. I hope you see a map. A map that leads away from loneliness and back toward connection. Every single one of these steps is about love. It's the love that is willing to look in the mirror and ask, what can I do differently? It's the love that chooses understanding over being right. It's the love that says, our relationship is more important than my pride. These aren't massive, overnight changes. They are small, gentle shifts in perspective and action. You can start with just one. Maybe this week, you decide that in your next phone call, you will just listen and not offer advice. Or perhaps you'll send a text to your son-in-law or daughter-in-law just to say you're thinking of them. Small steps, taken with a loving heart, can bridge the greatest of distances. I would love to hear about your experiences. Has any of this resonated with you? Do you have a story of reconnection you'd like to share? Your wisdom is so valuable, so please, feel free to leave a comment below. Let's start a conversation and support one another. If this video has been helpful, and you'd like more conversations like this to help you live your very best life, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. Remember, it is never, ever too late to reach out, to rebuild, and to reconnect. Your family story is still being written, and you hold the pen for your part in it. Here's to turning the page and starting a beautiful new chapter filled with love, understanding, and togetherness.